Hello and welcome to our channel. Thank you for taking time to look at our latest video. We created and uploaded this video last year sometime. Got a few great views and comments. We appreciate those. And we've got some negative ones. So we're going to have a look at those today. In regards to this book that we did a video on about L.A. Waddle and his Aryan stance, looking at behind the scenes in regard to his history. What was he all about? Who was he? What did he think? What did he believe? Etc. etc. What did he put in his books? We found him to possibly be of the Aryan persuasion, probably British Israel movement, something like that, maybe affiliated with the Christian identity. Never got that far with it. But as you can see here, it says works by the same author, the Phoenician origin of the Britons, Scots and Anglo-Saxons. Okay, and so forth. And in this book here, he makes some statements.
Thank you for taking the time to view our latest video presentation.
Give me a jump here.
In this particular book, there's a preface. He states, at the time in his recent work, or that particular work on British origins, he proved by a mass of new historical evidence that the Sumerians, those foremost civilized and civilizing ancient people whose monuments and high art of 5,000 years ago are the wonders of the modern world, were the long lost early Aryans. That the Phoenicians were not Semites and has been hitherto supposed, but Aryans and the chief colonizing branch of the Sumerians, and that the people who colonized and civilized India, as well as those who colonized and civilized the Mediterranean, northwestern Europe and Britain, and who were the ancestors of the Britons, were likewise Aryan and belonged predominantly to the Phoenician branch of that race. These results are now dramatically confirmed, both as regards India and the British Isles, by the discovery in the Indus Valley, a few weeks after the publication of this particular book, or his book, of two large series of ancient seals inscribed with Sumerian writing, unearthing from beneath the foundations of old Buddhist buildings from the 3rd century BC to the 2nd century AD at widely different sites on Indus, and associated with the ancient buildings and tombs of the owners of the seals and cultural objects of the ancient Sumerian and Phoenician type. So we, pondering on what he was actually trying to get across, had the idea, could he have been of the British Israel ideology and then associated or a member of the Christian identity movement, therefore being racist, etc., etc. So we thought, well, rather than come to that conclusion, we'll do our personal research and try and find some information on him and see if he actually was. So we looked up information on him, Lawrence Waddle, and he was the Lieutenant Colonel, and here's all his qualifications here, from 1854 to 1938. He was a Scottish explorer, professor of Tibetan, professor of chemistry and pathology, Indian army surgeon, collector in Tibet, and amateur archaeologist. I guess he was an amateur archaeologist. Waddle also studied Sumerian and Sanskrit. He made various translations of seals and other inscriptions. His reputation as an Assyriologist gained little to no academic recognition. Wonder why is that? They keep trying to keep the Assyrian history under a rug, as we have found through our personal research about the Assyrian Church of the East, etc., that that's what they were doing, the Roman Catholic Church, Western theologians, etc., etc. So his reputation as an Assyriologist, the archaeological, the historical and linguistic study of Assyria and the rest of ancient Mesopotamia, and of the related cultures that use cuneiform writings. The field covers Sumer, the early Sumero-Akkadian city-states, the Akkadian Empire, etc. because he was an amateur archaeologist, I guess they didn't take him seriously. His reputation as an Assyriologist gained little to no academic recognition, and his books on the history of civilization have caused controversy. Some of his book publications, however, were popular with the public, and he is regarded by some today to have been a real-life precursor of the fictional character Indiana Jones. It's basically his life, where he was born, he grew up.
And we covered much more detail about him in the video, and we came to the assumption from what we'd read that he was all for the Aryan supremacy idea and so forth. Okay? And he wasn't recognised by his peers, and they said he had some crazy wacky ideas and so forth. You can see in the video, here in the video, if you watch it yourself. So we got these comments, okay, but we're sort of confused because we don't know if this guy's a US American nigger of the Hebrew Israelites. We had this funny feeling he was at first, but then we realised, yeah, this guy's a racist, probably a racist. He's into their Aryan claim of supremacy, superiority, the white race is this, that, and everything else that usually comes with it. We're totally confused, so we're going to jump to this other video where there's more comments towards this. Okay, this is who are the real Jews, and we asked who are the real Jews. 100% the real or true Jews, as many are claiming or have claimed that they are the true Jews and the only ones with the true scriptures and chosen people of God, because we get comments from so-called Hebrew Israelites that we think are US Negroes or African Americans, and then we go look at their channel and find out they're Arab looking, right? They probably just joined the movement or they're supporting it, and they're saying stuff to us like, oh, well, you're not black, you're not of the Hebrew race, we're true Hebrew Israelites, you don't know the Torah. All they've done is they've added an H to the Torah, yeah, and all this sort of stuff. It's not meant for you. You don't know the Torah, the Mithna, or some funny thing like that, you know, all this rubbish. We have a new guru or leader or prophet called Yahweh, who seems to be calling himself a son of God, but hinting at that he is the Son of God, i.e. Jesus the Christ. All this sort of stuff, right? He has these wacky ideas that all the baptism, etc. in the Bible, via John the Baptist to Jesus, etc., it was wrong. It's all wrong. That God told him you have to be baptized in the downfall of rain, and all sorts of stuff. And then he also said, we've done a video on this, that these US Hebrew Israelites, etc., American Negroes, can't be part of his movement because obviously he's Nigerian or something like that. Nigerian based. They have to be pure African. They're half-breeds or hybrids, right? So they can't be of his religious order, right? Okay. But many of them are like putting up videos that they're teaching their children according to this Ya'o or Ya'o, whatever his name is, right? He's got some other Tongle name or something like that, Nigerian. We can't remember it. Okay. We've done a video on it, right? So they're falling for this claim, this crap, right? So anyway, to get to the meat and potatoes, we had some few comments. Okay, it's quite a extensive one here, explaining who are the real Jews or the real Israelites, because Hebrew Israelites are trying to say that they are. Okay, and they've got all this history, and then the Latinos, Chinese, Mexicans, all that are part of that 12 tribes of Israel. It's like a Rastafarian thing, right? They make the same claim, but they're 12 tribes of Israel. When what's his name? The timeline guy went around the world, or went around the Middle East looking for the 10 lost tribes, and he found them, and they were black or brown. They happened to be Indians, Ethiopians who just got shipped there, or dropped off, that got picked up by the military, and he dropped off in Israel. The Ethiopians, so they were welcomed there. Yeah, it was Indians from somewhere in India, Asians, but they were militants, and a couple of other ones. Yeah, they're all the supposedly the lost tribes, because they knew the Hebrew, how to make the matzvah, all those traditional meals, customs, etc., etc., without being prompted. Like this guy had a Jew from Israel following him around, taking him along. He says, "How the heck did all these people know how to do this stuff?" Oh, we didn't say anything. Yes, Dutch Jew. Yeah, so he found them, all right. These supposed lost 10 tribes of Israel. He details it. I can't remember his name. He's on a timeline documentaries. So yeah, we're looking at some of these comments, right? Okay, someone over here, no problem, said Jacob was named Israel. We know his sons carried the stone to Scotland. The clans, there are no lost tribes. They follow Christos, who taught the way. All the tribes are gathered here in America. Our black American people are struggling for identity. There's a tribe related to David in Ethiopia. Okay, good information. We put incorrect, not necessarily lost, just mislocated or even misplaced. The documentary, The Quest for the Lost or Misplaced Tribes of Israel, by the Timeline Archaeology Guy, Jovovich, an expert. Okay, there it is there. There's a link to it there. A group of people trying to find out about the location of the lost 10 tribes, mainly in Asia. They are finding some amazing answers across Asia, leading to the assumption that some tribes are still out there. As they encounter with one of the tribes, they had discovered that they maintained some ancient Jewish traditions. In other encounters, they discovered that the tribe has become Muslim, though some of them admit they are descendants from Israel's tribes. Because remember, they're apparently, scripturally, they're all lost, and there's only like 2 main ones left, Benjamin and Judah or something like that. Yeah, according to the scriptures. Manasseh, apparently, not too sure if it's actually written that they completely disappeared, or they wouldn't be seen anymore, but they found these people from the lost tribe of Manasseh and all that sort of stuff. A great research work of Simcha Jabovich, including some outstanding discovering. He verifies that 3 or more unknown peoples, the Ethiopian Jews, black Jews, walked into Israel. The Indian-based Jews found were verified as Jews, as did certain traditions. The Jew in Israel, tagging along with Jovovich, stated there was no other way they'd know that unless they were descendants of the original Jews, or the House of Israel, and also with the Asian group found in the area in China. But Jovovich realised they are very militant, armed to the teeth, and if welcomed back to Israel, they could get trigger happy and start an Armageddon. The Hebrew Israelites can't claim themselves Hebrews if they don't follow the long old Jewish traditions, customs, etc. of the original House of Israel, like making matzvah, bread, etc. The Hebrew Israelites have been refused Israeli citizenship because they are not true Jews. In Israel, there are the 96%ers, said to be Khazarians, European in origin, and 4% remnants, direct descendants of the original House of Israel, who would prove they really are Jews if they have records to do so. Apparently they're destroyed. But it might have been said by top historians, theologians, we're trying to recollect that, right? There are no records to verify this, as all were supposedly destroyed when Epiphanes or Titus, I think it might have been Titus, invaded and totally destroyed the temple and burned all records. But the Jews were the Yehudaeans, who at some point took the 3 to 4 letters from their name and called themselves Yehu, later called Jews or Juden in German, etc. Around about the Middle Ages. These people were located in Mesopotamia, Syria, and so forth. Okay, the Pharisees weren't Jews. Okay, they were possibly were Jews, but they might have been enslaved Persian Jews, right? They came out, right? Hence Farsi, or the Farsi, in the language they spoke, Farsi, right? So these people that are blaming the Jews for the death of Christ are probably incorrect if these were Persians that came out of Persia that adapted this Jewish religion, Judaism, etc. Okay. So what does the Bible really say? I mean the original ancient, very old sacred scribal old tongue spoken by the Old Testament prophets like Moses, Ezra, Isaiah and more. The Lishana Atika Supreya. This actually means the language of God, spoken by God, right, to man, Supreya. So it's got Ya in the end of it, the language of God. The long deed language of the Syrian Aramaic of the original ancient very old Katav Eshet, sister language of the original ancient very old Hebrew, or Katav Every, even Katav Hotep. Haven't found that one yet. Spoken by the OT prophets like Moses, Ezra, etc., and copied and compiled into one book of books by Old Testament scribes amongst an Ur Edessa, now in modern Turkey around 800 BCE, and probably again in the 1st century to the 4th and 5th. Okay? Translated into the nearest English equivalent and as close as possible to what those original ancient, very old, hidden from the Romans, the Catholic Church and Islam manuscripts, and therefore preserved by the original Assyrian Apostolic Church of the East for over 2,000 years. These manuscripts, what they really say. By using the root words of that long deed language, nobody used it anymore, or uses it anymore, just like Norse, etc. It's gone by the way of the dodo. Old Latin, Old English, Old Shakespeare speak, Old German, etc. Okay, but by using the root words of a long deed language via a modern vernacular, say like the modern Syriac, you can revive or resurrect it. Without the usual bias, prejudice, twisting, adding own flavour most translators resort to. Translated by a native-born Aramaic-speaking translator from Bet Naharain or Mesopotamia, Assyria, with over 15 years' experience in translating those original manuscripts. He brought from a high priest of the original ancient apostolic church of the East, founded by the disciples Adai, Thaddeus, in the 1st century AD. Some say Thomas, some say Adius. We at the Ministry of the Real Truth have done the real research, so we know the real history and use the original scriptures translated into English, rather than Roman Catholic, American Bible Society, Americanized Bible versions all have today, that they're teaching and preaching from, saying we know the truth, we're speaking the truth, etc., etc., when there's evidence from the Brian guy with the big bushy beard and the glasses, and also the Aramaic translator on the back of his translation of the Aramaic New Testament, or the Disciples' New Testament, and inside that all Bible versions are translations of the American Bible, which they tried to, the King James Version, they tried to translate into Syriac, but they botched it, right? These missionaries. So basically everything is the American Bible. It's all translations from that. We have the evidence for that, right? Okay, so I think somebody here said, the question would be, have you gone to those archaeological sites that spoke in the native language? No, then internet sources can be taken with a grain of salt, already with 72 different whatever they said, right? So here's the reply. Okay. According to our personal research, the Hebrew Israelites claim a similar translation language, the Lashwana Kadesh. They probably made this up, okay? Which some reviews say is hogwash on their failed attempt at a so-called said dead language or old language. The translator, Victor Alessandro, has spent over 15 years translating the original ancient, very old manuscripts and also the original ancient, very old Galilean Aramaic manuscripts into the nearest English equivalent, staying faithful to what those original manuscripts are actually saying. Etc. Had a website, va.com, it's down. Right, we found a way to revive it or resurrect it. Okay? And that's what we're doing with these videos, looking at all these people's claims. Right? It's claims of established fact, evidence, proof, all this sort of stuff. Right? Listening hard and then doing our personal research on it. Okay? To see if they're actually the real deal or full of crud. Okay? And we come prepared and have fully covered our asses. Okay? Because we knew when we first did this, well, we didn't get any subscribers or whatever, maybe one or two. We knew that people would come at us, the opposition or whatever, with their Americanized Bible versions, right, their mistranslations or whatever, and try to convince us that they got the truth, they got the gospel, they got the true scriptures, translation, all that sort of stuff. When we did the research, so we did the research and we found out that they don't, okay, that the people who said on these Bible committees in the 1966, 67, 68, whatever, even 76, said we have translated from the original languages. No, you haven't, because those are all old, dead languages. unless you used a method which Victor N. Alexander did, right, and revived them. Okay, because nobody uses them anymore. They're all dead. Hence, them being called dead languages. So what they've done is they've translated from more modern vernaculars or modified versions of those languages. Okay. They make no mention of the Kitab Ashret or the Ivri anyway, so it's another evidence. It's more evidence, right? So we came more prepared. Okay. Victor N. Alexander has done a documentary on the winged bull statues, as cherubims, whatever they're called, and the real history of his native country, Mesopotamia, as he is a graduate of the San Francisco Film Academy, USA. Okay, so we see him as our mentor, even though we haven't said, yeah, you are a mentor. We respect him because we had that communication with him, and we learned lots of him, right? Lots of his translation. We have looked at another that translated the supposed original Syriac Peshitta from that same original Apostolic Church of the East. Okay, Andrew Gabriel Roth, a Messianic Jew. And we have looked at others like Stephen Missick and a few others, right? Doing our personal research. Okay, so we're moving on. We put a comment here. There's a tribe related to David in Ethiopia. This is what somebody came at us with this comment. And we put, they are or would be the descendants of Solomon, as Beersheba went back to Ethiopia pregnant with his child, supposedly. Emperor Ras Mulcommon, father or grandfather of Rastafari, or Haile Selassie, Emperor the First, right? Who stated he is the descendant of King Solomon. And Rastas do that as well. These people would not be sons of Jacob, but in a sense, sons or descendants, hybrid offspring. The Ethiopians were grafted in as Jews into the Jewish circle faith, possibly through the eunuch chariot driver that Philip spoke to in the scriptures. They converted, then went back to Ethiopia and told all, and they then converted to the faith. The Coptic, right? So somewhere along the way they've adopted the practices, underwent circumcision, because that's part of the entry ticket, okay, into that Jewish circle. You've got to be recognised, right? That's a part of the covenant of God. It's a sign, right, that you're different from everybody else. Okay, that's what it was. It was identification that you are different from all the rest of the world. Which literally means cut in, which is similar to an initiation into a club or gang, giving them entry or a means to enter that elite Jewish circle. Read about the Jews in the video we've done on what a Jew actually is. Okay, these are lies of the Talmud and so forth, so forth. Okay, it was said that the people went to England or Scotland carrying the said original ancient, very old Colburn manuscripts. We have also done a video on Joseph of Arimathea, Jesus' uncle, who went to England as he owned tin mines. Supposedly took the young Jesus with him. Then went to Scotland, built Glastonbury Abbey and stored the said original ancient Colburn manuscripts there up until it was set on fire. So watch our video on this manuscript, the Bible before the Bible, part 1, the Moses Scroll, etc. Okay, because we uncovered that, yeah, sure, it was taken there. Maybe, it was already taken there before Joseph of Arimathea got there, right? And he built the Glastonbury church or something like that, and that's where he stored those supposed the Colburn manuscripts until it was set on fire. Okay, so somebody carried it there, probably descendants, and he got hold of it and stored it in that Glastonbury church until it was burnt down. So we've done the research on that. Okay, so this guy, sorry it took a long time to get to it. This guy, we found out this is an Irish name for Dooley or something like that. Yeah, possibly. So he might be Irish. He's probably a troll. That's what we're thinking. Troll, racist, whatever, right? Into the Aryan stuff. Because he says here, okay, we've got different comments all over the place, but we're going to go from the very first one. They were all one race, and mongrelization was not supposed to happen among them. No, they aren't a mixture of black and white and Latino and Chinese, etc., etc. Talking about the Hebrews, I think. The only real ones left are of European descent. They went to Europe, mixed with their distant relatives from Japheth. Okay, it's going right back into Genesis, that was it. And became the kings of Europe. They were to become many nations, and Japheth would dwell in the tents of Shem, meaning both these Caucasian Caucasus, Caucasus and should be Caucasians groups merged, and the Israelites were absorbed in the Japhethites. Okay. He says they're all okay. So we replied, they were all one race, and mongrelization was not supposed to happen. That's what he said to us, right? So asking the question, are you saying Mamses in the Hebrew? Okay, has a meaning, but according to Christian identity, because we have talked exclusively with one in particular on a chat site. 1 minute he's calling us the N word, and then next time, hello buddy, how you doing? Yeah, it's very hypocritical, isn't it? He's a Dutch guy. He wasn't very happy. He was happy when his church was all white, Dutch, right? But then foreigners came in, Africans or whatever, Jews, whatever, and he got really upset. He wanted it to exclusively be a white-only church. So he rebelled. He wanted to start. He came across Christian identity, and he wanted to start his own church or something in America, and they refused him, something like that. Okay, because it was all racist and stuff like that. Yeah, and he was saying Mamses. Sorry to be blunt. He said that means bastards. It doesn't mean illegitimate sons, children, right, through incest or forbidden marriage of a Jew or member of the house of Israel with a foreign woman or vice versa. It didn't mean that at all. Okay.